Hi, today we are going to see the antigen antibody reaction. So, in this class, we'll be seeing the general features of antigen antibody reaction, the serological reaction, precipitation, agglutination, and complement fixation. So, antigen antibody reaction is a specific observable interaction between the antigen and antibody. So, what is the significance of this antigen antibody reaction? So, it has significance in vivo and in vitro. So, in vivo includes tissue injury, hypersensitivity, and autoimmunity, and in vitro, various serological reactions, which is used for the diagnosis, which is used in epidemiology and diagnosis of infectious diseases. It can be also used in non-infectious diseases, which includes some estimation of some enzymes and other substances. So, what is this reaction between this antigen antibody reaction? So, basically, this antigen antibody reaction it has three stages. So, the primary, secondary, and tertiary stage. So, primary stage, there is some reaction which occurs between the antigen and antibody where there is no visible effects or changes. So, it is very rapid and it occurs at very low temperature. Whereas in secondary stage, so the visible effects can take place in the secondary stage, where you can see either the interaction which is seen as a precipitin or agglutinin. So it is based on the temperature and electrolyte changes and based on the other factors. Whereas tertiary stage, so it is the stage where the body reacts to this infectious agents. So, what are the general features? So, general features of this antigen antibody reaction, it's a reaction where which is specific. So, the entire molecules and fragments they react, and there is no denaturation of this antigen or antibody during this reaction. So, this this combination is usually confirmed and it is reversible. So it depends upon it can be combining with the various proportion and various valencies. So it depends upon the affinity so of this antigen and antibody. So what is this affinity? Affinity is a strength of reaction between a single antigenic determinant and the antibody combining site. So specificity. So specificity is very much essential for this antigen and antibody reaction. So it is the ability of an individual antibody combining to the site which reacts as a only antigenic determinant. So specific, it is responsible for a particular type of this reaction. So it is the ability of a population of the antibody molecules to react with only one antigen. So what is this cross reactivity? So cross reactivity is the ability of an individual antibody combining site to react with more than one antigenic determinant. So the ability of the population of the antibody molecule to react with more than one antigen. So this cross reaction can be with a similar epitope or with a shared epitope. So sensitivity, even minute amount of antigen can, or antibody can be detected, and specificity, it is usually monologous. And it is inversely related to specificity. Sensitivity is inversely related to specificity. So, so coming to this precipitation reaction. So precipitation reaction. So precipitation reaction, if you see the definition, um, So first we'll see the definition of this precipitation reaction. So when a soluble antigen combines with the antibody in the presence of electrolytes at a suitable temperature and pH, the antigen antibody complex form a soluble precipitate. Okay. So the soluble precipitate can be settling down as a precipitant or it can be suspended as a flocule. So here you can see it is settling down as a precipitant or it can be suspended as a flocule. So we have a lattice theory which shows this antigen and antibody usually combines. So there are phenomena which is called as zone of equivalence, a prozone and a zone of antibody exists. So zone of antibody exists is where the antibody is exists, whereas your post zone where the antigen is exists, and the zone of equivalence is where you can see both the antigen and antibody are equal, and only in this curve, part of the curve we'll be able to detect the reaction. So basically, if you see, so this is a lattice hypothesis which was proposed by Marak, where so if you see this antigen usually is multivalent, whereas antibody is bivalent, and it goes and combines and it forms a lattice. Okay, so this lattice helps. This results in the formation of this antigen and antibody reaction. So in order to prevent this prozone phenomena or postzone phenomena, so what we do to overcome it is we do doubling dilution of the patient's serum in order to overcome this phenomena. So one of the major example of this flocculation test is VDRL slide test. So this VDRL slide test is where it's a type of slide flocculation test when a drop of this inactivated serum which contains an antibody, we add the antigen, cardiolipin antigen, and we see for the floccule formation. So this floccule formation can be detected by microscope. Okay. So this is a VDRL slide. It is a cavity slide. Um, so we have 12 wells in that. And then we use a VDRL rotator. So usually we'll heat inactivate the serum at 56 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. So next is in tube test, tube precipitation test, which includes the ring test. So the application is in case of Ascoli's thermoprecipitant test and this Lancefield typing, which we use for grouping of the streptococcus. So next, in order to see visible precipitation reaction, we incorporate agar into the medium. So we classify it as into various types. So this is the Audin's procedure where antigen is layered over the um, precipitate, the antibody, and we'll be seeing a precipitate. Okay, so the antigen is layered and the antibody, the serum is below, and we'll incorporate agar in between that, and the reaction, the antigen moves in one direction, and there will be a formation of precipitation band. So this is single diffusion in one dimension. Next is double diffusion in one dimension, where we incorporate this antibody, that is serum, in the agar, and we keep the antigen solution over it, and we can see the movement in both the direction. So previously we did not incorporate agar with the antibody gel. whereas here we have incorporated it. So this is in two dimension where you can see that is double diffusion, that is in two direction in one dimension. So next is your immunodiffusion, that is single diffusion in two dimension. Okay. So single diffusion in two dimension where in case of the ring test, we take a agar gel and we dig wells in that and we add the antigen and the antibody is incorporated in the gel and there will be a ring like precipitate. So it is a single diffusion. Only in one direction it will move and there will be it is in two dimension. Next we have double diffusion in two dimension. So basically what we do is in double diffusion in two dimension. Um, so we take um, so the antigens are placed in various wells and we incorporate the antibody in the gel and there will be diffusion and we can see the precipitant bands. So one of the example of this is also this LX gel precipitation test where we take the antitoxin which is soaked in the filter paper and we take a non-toxigenic and non-toxigenic stain and we streak it perpendicularly and we see the precipitation bands. So in order to speed up this reaction, this immunodiffusion can be enhanced by a technique which is called as electrophoresis. So this involves electrophoretic separation of this antigen and then we can see the reaction bands, precipitant bands which can be seen here. So first we are separating the your antigen and then we are looking for the reactions. So next is immunoelectro, that is this is also a picture of immunoelectrophoresis. So this one dimension single electroimmunodiffusion, that is rocket electrophoresis. So the main application of this rocket electrophoresis is the quantitative estimation of the antigen. So the antiserum in the antigen can be quantitated by incorporating agar or agarose gel in the glass slide. So this antigen in various concentration are thus placed. So the antigen is then electrophoresed. So here we can see the various amount of antigen which reacts. So this is the rocket electrophoresis. So even various types of an immunoelectrophoresis where you can speed up by including a electric field. That is, this is also a similar example where you can see the various antisera which we add and the precipitant bands can be formed. So coming to the agglutination reaction. So what is this agglutination reaction? When a when a particulate antigen is mixed with the antibody in the presence of electrolytes or at a suitable temperature and pH, the particle is agglutinated. Okay, so this agglutination is more sensitive than this precipitation test. So this agglutination, here also you have this zone phenomena and also there can be incomplete or monovalent antibody which reacts, which is also called as the blocking antibody. Okay, So here also, if we do doubling dilution, we can prevent this blocking antibody as well as we can prevent this prozone phenomena. So there are two types. There are many. There are two types, that is slide and tube agglutination. In the slide agglutination, this example of that is we do in a slide the antigen and antibody we take in a slide and we look for the agglutinin formation. So the example of this is cross matching and blood grouping. Then we have the tube agglutination where we do take serial dilutions and we do the agglutination reaction. So the Vidal test, brucellosis, Wheat-Felix test, Paul Brunel test, Streptococcus mg, cold agglutination test, these are all the example. So one of the example of this is indirect and direct Coombs test. So basically, where do we do this Coombs test? Coombs test is used for this um, RH incompatibility. So direct Coombs test we do from the patient's blood, whereas indirect Coombs test we do from the mother's blood. So when RH this negative mother bears the RH positive baby, there will be formation of antibodies in the baby and the mother, which will be carried out to the baby, and this antibody will go and attach to the RBC of the baby. So, in order to find out the direct Coombs test, we take the erythrocytes directly from the patient, that is from the child, and we add the Coombs serum, and we can see the agglutination of the erythrocytes. Whereas in indirect Coombs test, we take the mother serum, we take RBC, which will go and bind to this antibody which is present, and then we will add the serum, Coombs serum. So this is the indirect Coombs test. So basically, I told you it is to detect RH incompatibility, and so this is one of the major use. So other example is passive agglutination is this Streptococcus mg. Then we have this Paul Brunel test for detection of brucellosis. Then heterophil agglutination test. So these are the examples of other and the commonly used Vidal test, which uses the Vidal antigen and the antibodies from the patient. So this is an example of and your agglutination reaction. Next is passive agglutination reaction. So when we convert a precipitation reaction into an agglutination reaction by using some carrier particle, so that is called as a particulate passive agglutination. So what is this carrier particle which we use here? So it is a polystyrene latex bentonite. See, these are the carrier particle. One of the major uses in Rose-Waller's test. Okay, so Rose-Waller's test for rheumatoid arthritis, where we use some RBC with which is with some amboceptor septor, and this we add the patient serum, and we will see the clumping of the RBC from the patient, the amboceptor treated RBC, sensitized RBC. So the in case of reverse passive agglutination test, we use instead of detecting the antibody, we will detect the antigen. So this is a passive agglutination test. So next we will see the complement fixation test. So the complement takes part in many immunological reaction and it's absorbed during the combination of antigen and their antibody. And the presence of this antigen and antibody. So there will be in the presence of this antibody, there will be lysis of the erythrocyte, and in some cases, so the lysis of the bacteria or the motile organism can also take place, and there can be some hypersensitivity reaction. So this ability of this antigen antibody to fix the complement is used in this complement fixation test. So this is a very useful and versatile, very sensitive test which is used. And so here what we do is we take a guinea pig complement. We take the guinea pig complement and then we add the some RBC and the amboceptor. Suppose this antigen and antibody complex is formed if by adding the serum. So it can go and fix the complement and there will be lysis of the RBC. Okay. So if the complement is not fixed, then the RBC lysis will not occur because the antigen and antibody reaction will not occur. So this is a principle of complement fixation test. So indirect complement fixation test. So in indirect complementation fixation test, what will happen is sometimes certain avian this or some mammalian sera will not fix the guinea pig complement. Oh, so in that case, what we do is the test is set in duplicate after the first step, and the standard antiserum known to fix the complement is added. So if the test serum contained the antibody, the antigen would have been used up in the first step, and therefore the standard antiserum is added, which will not be able to fix the complement. So here the reverse will be the positive. When there is where initially what we see, no hemolysis was positive and hemolysis was negative, and here it will be vice versa, where hemolysis will be positive and no hemolysis will be negative. Okay, as already I told you, we are not using the guinea pig complement here. So what is this conglutination complement absorption test? So with this also is used for the testing the sera that do not fix the guinea pig complement. So here it's an alternative method where the indicator system is a sensitized sheep erythrocytes mixed with bovine serum, and the bovine serum contains the beta globulin which is called as the conglutinin. So which acts as an antibody to complement. Therefore, the conglutinin causes agglutination of the sensitized RBC, and if they combine with the complement, so if the host complement has been used up for this antigen antibody reaction in the first step, then you will see the agglutination of the this sensitized RBC, that is sensitized cells, will not occur. Okay, so this is a conglutination test. So this, if it is not fixed, then you can see this, it is negative. Okay. So in this class, we saw about the various antigen antibody reaction. So agglutination, first we saw the general properties, and then about the agglutination, precipitation, the definitions, and various types of antigen antibody reaction, and also the complement fixation test. So the other types of antigen antibody reaction, your ELISA, immunochromatography, then immunofluorescence will be taken in the subsequent lectures. Thank you.